The Insta360 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸 Pro is the king of low-light performance, or so they say. We are putting it to the test in today's episode on the Dive Saga channel. Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another episode on the Dive Saga channel. Again in my editing studio because I went out shooting, testing the Insta360 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸 Pro in low light conditions. I have a wreck dive, a 60 meter, 200 foot deep dive, and even a night dive for you guys so that we could truly test whether the Insta360 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸 Pro holds up in real low light environments. I did a review here on the Dive Saga channel about the Insta360 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸 Pro last week, and I will put a link on the video description. We already spoke about how this camera has all the features that it does, from flow state stabilization to a larger sensor, a Leica engineered lens, the flip screen which goes 180 degrees all the way around. It has a ton of AI features, hand gestures, everything that you could expect from a modern day action camera, but, and probably the most revered asset it has, is the extreme light sensitivity, the amazing performance in low light environments. And so I thought it'd be appropriate to test that out. And so what I did was I took it on 3 distinctly different dives that are notoriously difficult to shoot in, especially without professional equipment. And first thing I did was I took it on a wreck dive at 30 meters, 100 feet, and I took no video lights. I'm not using filters. I am just using the regular settings that Insta360 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸 Pro has to check whether it truly is capable to shoot in those low light environments. And so first off, my shipwreck experience. Although the entry into the water is of course shot in slow motion so that I was able to get a little bit of nice footage, under the water I'm shooting at 60 frames per second. Last week we already compared the Insta360 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸 Pro to the GoPro 12, and I think, at least as far as I'm concerned, the 𝐬𝐮 Pro kind of has it. Now for this, I am not comparing it, I am just putting it through its paces. I did not apply Aquavision 2.0, which is an option as you see here, but again, at a depth of 30 meters, 100 feet, that's not so realistic to expect any software or any app to bring a lot of colors back. And I'm also not using any video lights. So all the light we get are the natural lights that you would get doing this activity. In this case, it's a wreck penetration dive. And of course, the quality is not going to be as good as it would be at 10 meters, 30 feet, or even at the surface. But I'm actually amazed how much detail is being preserved here. It's very impressive with all the dirt flying around, dust being kicked up. We're inside and we're 30 meters, 100 feet deep. So really this environment is pitch black. So I am actually amazed at how much detail the camera was able to retain. I've never been able to shoot something like this at this depth. Again, I could have ran this through Aquavision 2.0, I could have tampered with the colors, I could have done a lot of things to further enhance this, but the whole point of this video is a little bit to see if you buy an Insta360 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸 Pro, how does it perform in those low light environments. As far as I'm concerned, on a deep 30 meters, 100 feet wreck dive, I think it holds up pretty well. But what happens if we really take away light? What if we look at the specs of the dive case and we see that this is waterproof to 60 meters, 197 feet, for all intents and purposes, 200 feet. Well, don't try this at home unless you're properly certified, just like the wreck diving, by the way. But I went on a little technical dive, just a little bit of Trimix, and I took the Insta360 Ace Pro because it is supposed to be capable to do that. So let's have a look. First off, I needed to blend the Trimix and the decompression gases for the dive, but I figured that me spending some time in our compressor room was a really good opportunity to test the PureVideo feature. PureVideo enhances artificially the quality of the image in low light environments. There are no lights whatsoever, the only light came through the door. Then on the boat ride, I decided to play around with frame rates a little bit, so 120 frames per second it is. I could have applied a ton of color grading to make this look a lot more epic, but that is not what this video is about. I just wanted to see how the camera performs with no additional bells and whistles. So I have my deco gases ready to go. Let's give it a try. Just to give you an idea, 60 meters, 200 feet, that's not a depth you should dive to as a recreational diver. It holds significant risk. And the reason I am doing this for this episode is because, as you can see here, even Aquavision 2.0 doesn't really get to do much, because at 60 meters, 200 feet, there simply is no color. All the colors except blue have been absorbed. I did dive with my canister light, so as you can see, that'll bring a little bit of color back, of course, but this is not a video light. Again, I'm not using any tools to enhance any of this, so a video light, even that would have been cheating. So yes, the image is of course really blue, but look how far we can actually see. I can almost see the surface, I can see the details in the distance. My dive buddy over here is lit up a little bit by my canister light, but even without that, very easy to see. Again, you should not expect color to return at these depths. That is simply not a realistic expectation, but I have done dives like this many times before, and I am truly mind blown by how much detail I'm actually able to capture here with a simple action camera and no other tools assisting me. This is super unusual to me, but I love it. Just look at the detail in the distance, look at the scope we get of this dive site, even at this incredible depth. Now, of course, time to decompress before we make our way back to the surface. That's very unusual to me, that we get this much detail this deep. Again, I want to reiterate this. This is not about bringing back color. At 60 meters, 200 feet without any aids, it is impossible to bring color back. It's about retaining light. And clearly having this larger sensor, having the AI shoved in between the sensor and the SD card, something is happening, because this footage is really good for a dive that deep. So my final attempt at trying to push the Insta360 Ace Pro to its outer limits is taking it on a night dive. Once again, I'm shooting at 120 frames per second with the sunset in the background. Even that is actually quite an impressive feat. A lot of detail still retained and beautiful smooth motions. Very much happy with this. A lot of detail as well in the darker areas. That's quite impressive. I also love the colors here. I mean, of course, sunset, golden hour, you can expect nice lighting conditions, but again, this image has not been altered in any way. I did not dial up or down the colors. I did not slide yellow into this image. I did nothing. This is out of the camera. Again, using that PureVideo feature, and I would use this, like I would use this in a Dive Saga episode unaltered. But of course, to really put it to the test, we have to wait a little bit until the sun finally sets. I did make sure to enter the water here in slow-mo again when it was still a little bit light out. Now the sun did set, but it wasn't fully dark. I think that'll give us a nice range to see how the camera performs. But to be honest, this could literally be an overcast day. I'm still shooting 120 frames per second for this particular shot, just to see how much detail is retained, and then we're switching to 4K 60. Again, no further additional video tools are being used and no video light is being used. Again, we are just using our dive lights that we would normally have, no red filters, nothing else. Now, we are still experiencing a bit of twilight, so you can see that, of course. The background is very, very blue, but soon enough here the sun will set. Now, what's particularly difficult here is, of course, the lights give off a very warm light, but the ambient light is very dark. There's some sand being stirred up here by the current, and finally the sun has definitively set. It is dark out, and you see that because there is nothing but black in the background. But interestingly, the Insta360 Ace Pro is still able to detect our divers. You can see me here, and I have no idea what type of in-camera magic is even happening. This was not modified in any way. Again, all I have is my dive light. Here, of course, I'm illuminating the sponges in the foreground with my dive light, but the divers in the background, I just cannot explain how this is even possible. There's a little bit of shutter roll happening here, but that's simply because of the dive lights. That has nothing to do with the camera itself. I do not understand how this voodoo magic even works. This is truly incredible. It was a nice night dive too, by the way. And perhaps the craziest of all was on the way back to the dock, seeing the dock, seeing the boats, using the PureVideo setting. This is absolute magic. And that's it. That's the Insta360 Ace Pro being put through the paces. This is truly incredible, the way it's able to shoot in almost total dark and still generate an image. I would say that the marketing spiel of being the low light performance king is absolutely not overstated. And I think this is going to become a mainstay in my arsenal when shooting these episodes. A great addition to my camera kit for sure. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please share your experiences with the Insta360 Ace Pro down below. I'm definitely curious. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.